Welcome back to Movies TV Man, and you of course can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Man, and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Doctor Who Daily, where I want to discuss my favourite Doctor Who episode of all time, and it's the most famous one. It's the first one. And you know what is funny, because as I was about to press record on this video, I literally forgot the name of the very first episode of Doctor Who, and I feel so embarrassed, but never mind. Why is it my favourite? Why do I think it's the best? Because it's so all-encompassing. It really does something very, very interesting in its focus of Susan. Because we are set in a 1963 school with this young woman, this schoolgirl called Susan Fordman. And then you get these two teachers, Ian and Barbara, talking about this one girl. They're fascinated by her. They're weirded out by her. They're obsessed, right? They're saying, she knows the answer to this. She says some oddball things about the future and currency and things like that. But sometimes she doesn't know the most elementary things. It's weird. And this is just a well-performed, well-written, this is not, CGI or anything, magnificent to look at. But it sucks you in from the very, very beginning. Then they come onto the decision of following her to see where she goes. And this is where this episode really comes to life for me as well. They're sitting in the car, chit-chatting again, randomly chatting. These two actors are so good. And so they go into the alleyway and they see what's going on. They see the Doctor coming out the TARDIS. They see her going to the TARDIS. And then they approach him. But the Doctor isn't, if you're watching this, it's called, that's what it's called, An Unearthly Child. The first ever episode of Doctor Who is called An Unearthly Child. And it's about that unearthly child, Susan Fordman, the Doctor's granddaughter. So if you've never watched classic Who before and you've just watched the Russell T Davies era, the Moffat era, the Chibnall era, very colourful, very, positive mostly, excuse me, frog in my throat, but when you watch An Unearthly Child and you've only watched the revival, it does knock you for six, because a lot of people have told me this. Well, first of all, it's in black and white, but also the Doctor isn't the hero we know and love, because this is supposed to be pre The Timeless Children, the first incarnation of the Doctor, but of course he would have had many adventures before this. Or could this be the first adventure he had since running away from Gallifrey with Susan? We don't know. And so when the teachers approach the Doctor and want to talk about Susan, he's very offhandish, rude, threatening. And when they eventually go into the TARDIS and can't believe what they're seeing, and Ian's like going, I don't believe this. This is some kind of trick. And he accuses the Doctor of being some kind of con artist. And the Doctor's literally daring him. And ultimately, the Doctor's all like, well, you've seen too much. You're not going anywhere. So he acts like a criminal. He acts like a bad person, a dangerous person. And, Susan's going, please, grandfather, I don't want to go, don't hurt them, blah, blah, blah. This is a very different Doctor than we know, because like all people, like all characters, the Doctor has evolved since 1963. And also, when the Doctor regenerates, his personality and his persona changes as well. So this is why, if you never saw classic Who before you saw the revival, you would have been shocked how dark this Doctor is, how I suppose immoral he is. I mean, I think there's a part of me that thinks that if Susan's not there, he's probably going to fly the TARDIS up to space and just open the doors and chuck them out. I think he's that ruthless. So he's probably the most ruthless Doctor I've ever experienced, and I've seen them all. Now, I haven't seen every single episode of Classic Who, I'm not going to lie. My first introduction to Doctor Who was Peter Davison. That's why I fell in love with Doctor Who. But this is when I first saw this, because obviously I started with Peter Davison and then Paul McGann, because I skipped McCoy and the other Baker, and then I watched the revival. But then I just got interested in seeing An Unearthly Child, because I've seen the docu-movie about how William Hartnell became the Doctor, and how that whole story. And so I became really fascinated with watching that episode. I can't believe I never watched it before then, but it's so good. And then I watched the other parts of that, I think I enjoy the first part more than the others. My opinion, I think that's so well done. It's probably one of the best pilot episodes I've ever seen, and this is where I think Russell T Davies got the idea of doing the first episode of the revival, Rose, the way he did, because that focuses on Rose a lot, but it's very, very different. Now, this is interesting because, you know, Susan's only relative isn't Jackie from a council estate, it's the doctor himself. So it's kind of a similar thing, because Jackie doesn't warm to the doctor when they first meet, if you remember. But yeah, so the interactions between Barbara and Ian and the doctor are really, really sharp, and the writing is kind of very modern day. So I love this version of the Doctor. I think he's brilliant, and I think this is the best episode of Doctor Who in Doctor Who history. Not because it's the first, not because it's William Hartnell, although William Hartnell was a great actor, and they were very fortunate. They only went to William Hartnell because he was so good. That was the ambition of the people making Doctor Who, get the very best people. And this is why that episode, An Unearthly Child, ended up so well. But I just love it. I think it's an amazing, it's a very short first episode. I think those episodes were like, what, 10, 20, 24 minutes long? Not very long, not like now. I mean, they're like movies now, right? Not movie length, but the scope of Doctor Who now is on another level. But you don't have to have the best production values to make the best piece of content. I think my YouTube videos are okay, but the quality of them in terms of using an HD camera, which I don't, I'm actually talking to you via a tablet now. But if you're interested in how I do these videos and what I have to say, then you probably think this geezer's okay, I'm going to keep on watching him, and probably not worrying of the quality of the sound or how you're receiving me. That's my opinion. I know audiences on YouTube now are very, very different. Oh, I don't like this. Yeah, he hasn't got an HD camera. Oh, yeah, he hasn't got an intro or nothing. Well, that's your problem. You're missing out on a great channel and a great presenter who actually gives his opinions. That's me being vain. I'm sorry. I think I'm okay. I don't think I'm the best. I don't think I deserve to be an elite YouTuber or anything. But I think I'm in okay, and I'm very grateful for anyone who comes in and watches these Doctor Who videos. So even though The Unearthly Child is shot in black and white, and there's, I mean, the music, everything, the way it opens, it's amazing. But the whole thing with the Doctor, Ian and Barbara is just brilliant, because there's no aliens, there's no, you know, there's nothing gee whiz about it. This is not like the opening of Star Wars A New Hope, which grabs you with the gee whiz of it, even though the characters in the story are compelling and great. This is literally 4 actors on a set that's made to look like a spaceship, aka the TARDIS, having drama. The Doctor being very intimidating and threatening to Ian and Barbara, and it really works. But as this Doctor goes on, like all Doctors, like Capaldi's Doctor did, he evolves and we see a kinder, softer side to him, ultimately realising that Susan can no longer travel with him anymore. And he makes that big, amazing speech, and as hurtful as it was for the Doctor, he lets her go. And I don't think he ever saw her again. I don't know if she came back. I can't remember. Let me know down in the comments down below. I don't know every single thing ever about Doctor Who, but I love Doctor Who. I hope that's okay. I'm not an encyclopedia. I'm a fan who loves what he's seen of Doctor Who. And so what you get from this episode is really something so raw, so good. And I think this is why some people are triggered by Hartnell being deleted as the first Doctor. If the Timeless Children is actually telling us the truth and the Doctor is the Timeless Child, I have my doubts. But this is why people are triggered. Many people have taken Hartnell to their hearts as the first Doctor. And to undo that and say, well, he's not that important because, well, of course he's important. Just because he's not the first, if that's true, doesn't make him less important. But it hurts people, right? People look at the history of stuff, things they've experienced, and when people go back and mess around with history, that's the problem. But again, this is the problem with the people running the industry right now. Not only what they want to rewrite history, not even though, you know, not just that they want to knock heroes from the past for not being perfect and they want to delete them from history, they want to set their future through their own narratives. And that's the problem with the industry today, and that's the problem with people with the same mindset. Because the problem with the entertainment industry, and I just said this over on the DCEU Daily, they have a worldview. They all have the same worldview, and they display that worldview on their content. And when there's no balance, when there's no other opinion, and it's just that opinion, and I'm right and you're bad, that's a problem. Now, I'm a liberal, I'm a left-winger, but I still don't like where the entertainment industry is going. Obviously, I'm a man. They don't like men, and they're toxic about us men. It's not a very good look, is it? And I'm sure these people will look back at the Hartnell era and say, he's this, he's a bad doctor, he's not a good man. Not everyone has to be perfect, not everyone has to be moral. We can say the wrong things at times. And obviously, it's down to your own perception to kind of get it, well, it's wrong to me, but it might be right to somebody else. But this is not the environment we're in. This is why we keep on rewriting history. I'm sure people look at the Carry On films and say, oh my God, the sexualization of women there is terrible. But they're making those movies in their present day, not in your present day. But you're judging those films on your reality and not theirs, and that's the problem. So someone may say to me, oh, an unearthly child isn't a very good, it isn't a very good episode. How can you put this up as the best Doctor Who episode ever? Because I think it is. It's an episode with very little budget, very few special effects, but still they pull it off. Literally, it encapsulates the idea of Doctor Who more than any other episode ever made. And it's made in the 60s, it's made cheaply, but it's made effectively. And the people watching, and don't forget, people watch that episode live. If you missed that episode, you missed it. I think they may have rerun it once. Again, I'm not sure. But Doctor Who was really popular back then. It didn't stay that popular, but originally, for a few episodes during the Hartnell era, people embraced Doctor Who, the mainstream embraced it. It was something so different and so right. And they only made it as an educational kind of fun, dramatic children's TV show, but it became so much more than that. So when people say, well, Doctor Who was made for kids, yes, but even in the 60s, adults enjoyed it as well. So you can't just say, go away adults, this is not for you, you've got no right to complain. Those adults were brought up on Doctor Who. They have every right to have their opinions as long as those opinions are made constructively. And so I'm sure a lot of people have opinions on what the best Doctor Who episode is ever. And my opinion is that it's an unearthly child. The qualities of it are really, really good. And I think one of my favourite things, as I mentioned earlier, is the fact that Ian doesn't want to accept any of it. Any of it. And once they actually arrive on the first place that the TARDIS lands in, and they open those doors and Ian sees that, even as an educated man, he's still having trouble accepting it. But while he sees it, he's standing on a new place, a new reality. He has to finally accept that this is fucking real. But everything he knows and believe makes it feel that this can't be true. So as a kid at school, we were told without no reason of a doubt, Lee Harvey Oswald killed John F. Kennedy on his own, fact. But then I watched JFK, directed by Oliver Stone, and he gave us other information we'd never seen. And then I said to myself, bloody hell, they actually lied to us at school. Because that wasn't true. Look at this information. Stone's giving you facts in those films, whether you like it or not. And I think, how old was I? As a 17, 18-year-old boy, my education about the world changed. My view on politics changed. My view on the world changed. Because educators lie to us. Now, I'm not saying that schools and teachers know that time travel is possible and they know other solar systems exist and they don't want to tell us. Although, if we want to go deeper into that conversation, we're always talking about our own solar system. NASA are always going to the moon or Mars or something like that. But there's never a conversation of what's beyond our own solar system. Why is that? Because they genuinely don't know if there's anything else, or because they don't want our imaginations to think too much far outside the box, because they already know there's more. That's the thing. And so this is Ian's problem. It's a bit like the Doctor when she finds out she's allegedly the timeless child. It's like what the Master says to her. Everything you believe, everything you think you know is a lie. And it's like me when I watch JFK, and it's like Ian. when he realises that, in fact, the TARDIS is a time travel stroke spaceship, that it can go anywhere, and they have arrived somewhere very different from where they were. To Ian, and this is just a great performance by the guy, it really is. This guy has really performed this. He's really trying. And it's all performance-based, because everything that works on an unearthly child is because of the performances and the writing. Both those elements are very, very strong. And back then in '63, it must have really captured people's imagination. But so Ian kind of now has to believe that time travel is possible, where before he's saying to the Doctor, it's just not possible. He basically is trapped within his own worldview. In a way, I've always tried to be outside of my own worldview. People say, are you religious? Do you believe in God? And I say, well, I don't passionately believe in any God, but I'm not going to say there's no possibility of a God. Maybe your God or another God that somebody else believes in, right? I don't know how the world was actually created, but when we look at the human body, going away from Doctor Who a little bit for a few seconds, everything inside our body has a purpose. The heart pumps blood. The kidneys help the blood go up to the heart. The kidneys clean you up, keep you clean and healthy. Everything in your body has a reason. It's like a robot being built for a specific purpose, so it works, or a machine. Your coffee percolator makes coffee, so it has to work from the inside and out. It's like the human body, which means something or someone must have created us for us to be this design that has a purpose, that needs all our organs. Our organs were obviously put there and designed. We're obviously a design. I know people probably going to think I'm crazy, but I have lots of beliefs, but I never kind of say, nah, that's not possible. And I don't like it when people say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. That's not true. Well, it may not be true from your point of view, but from my point of view, anything is possible. And what an unearthly child did, way before Star Wars, by the way, is opened young people's minds and said, anything is possible. We're not saying that this factually is true and scientifically true, but what the moral of an unearthly child is that never close your mind off to any possibility, because Ian really thought, as a teacher, he knew it all. He thought he knew more than this weird old man and this young teenage girl, but actually they know more than he does. And it's the arrogance. I see it on social media all the time. Oh, I'm speaking facts. You're wrong. But you don't know what that person's experienced. You're speaking facts from your own point of view, but you're not speaking facts from a worldview. Because the world is a lot more complicated than having one worldview that you believe is factual. And this is what happens to Ian and Barbara here. Because they're teachers, because they're information imparters, they're educators, they think nobody knows anything more than them. They think they know the facts of the way the world works and space works. That it's impossible to be in a 1960s phone box that can take you anywhere. Of course it is, but it's not actually a 1960s phone box. It's in disguise of a 1960s phone box. The Doctor even explains that. So, as they go on to travel with the Doctor, and we're talking beyond, of course, an unearthly child, because these things happen beyond that episode, they realise that the Doctor has introduced them to a fascinating world. But what's very important is, and as I've always said about the Doctor, it will be great to travel with the Doctor, but the problem with it is, it's a dangerous world full of Daleks and Cybermen and lots of other creatures. And the Doctor is really quite selfish, taking other humans with him. But he wants to share his knowledge and share his adventures with other people. And although that's a great thing, he's risking people's lives. Abducting, and this is what he did, he abducted Ian and Barbara because, in his opinion, they were going to go and blab. The thing is, I never understand about it. If he and Susan can just leave, why does he care? Although, maybe he's worried that they'll come, you know, if the Doctor arrives again, because clearly he's probably going to arrive in Earth in the future, present, and history. That could be a problem. So to him, it's like, these people know something I don't want them to know. They're going to have to come with me, and I'm not sure if I'm not willing to kind of knock them off. That was the kind of atmosphere and environment over that scene in an unearthly child. So Yes, An Unearthly Child is my favourite Doctor Who episode ever because it sets up the whole world and the premise of the Doctor and the way the Doctor is so wonderfully well. This has been the Doctor Who Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. I'll be back tomorrow with even more Doctor Who Daily. Like, share, comment, please subscribe. Please smash that notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I'll see you again for more Doctor Who tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.